Vladimir Lenin's legacy is alive and well in Vietnam. Armenia snubs Russia. Honduras allows Russian propaganda to run galore. Boeing is in trouble, in more trouble. Turkey stops trading with Israel, turning away from Russia and turning towards America. China deals two big blows to Russian economy. Russian army recruiters are arrested in India. And the Russian diplomat is kicked out of the UK. And the biggest news of the week is Elon Musk is used by Russian propaganda to lie to Russians. The propaganda is caught red-handed, Musk remains silent, and what do the Russians think of the whole thing? Howdy, howdy, friends. My name is Konstantin. Welcome to Inside Russia, where usual Russia is explained by the unusual Russian. Every Wednesday I give you my take on important world's news that you will not find anywhere. Well, most likely will not find anywhere. Before we jump to the first news, now, we all know Russian ruble is in trouble. But do you know what's the difference between a dollar and a ruble today was? About $1. Let's start with something light, something a little funny, not too heavy. An opening ceremony of a monument to Vladimir Lenin was held in Vietnam. The sculpture was installed in the city of Vinh, the birthplace of Ho Chi Minh. Russian ambassador to Vietnam, Gennady Bezdetko, called the Lenin statue a new symbol of friendship and cooperation, not only between Ulyanovsk and Nguyen, sister cities, but also between Vietnam and Russia. And please forgive me for this low-quality picture. That's the best I could find. I think there's only one picture about this glorious event that happened last week. I don't really have much to comment. What does Lenin have to do with Russia? Today's Russia. Lenin was cursed and hated so much in the late 80s and in early 90s by so many Russians. And how is he Russia's symbol today? Lenin is definitely not a symbol of anything good for me. Thank you, but no thank you. I had my fair share of Lenin worshipping when I was a child growing up in the early 80s. Lenin was forced on me. No more Lenin. What the fudge is going on? It's mad circus in Russia, double facepalm. That's another proof that Russia is not doing well. The next news is from Armenia. Armenia will not participate in financing the Collective Security Organization. What? One of Russia's closest allies backstabbing. Again. And you too, Brutus. Well, not really. It was kind of expected. Russia backstabbed Armenia recently by selling it to Azerbaijan for Turkey helping Russia to circumvent the international sanctions. Armenians have understood Russia's betrayal and are taking steps to turn into the direction of getting closer to the West. Get it away from Russia. And it makes perfect sense. Armenian actions are justified. Remember I said that there's a perfect economic storm spinning above Russia. Well, it's not only economic perfect storm, it's perfect storm period. Russia is quickly losing influence all over the world and even among its closest allies. Armenia is next, and it is an example for others. Well, this world runs by different laws, and very powerful laws are cause and effect and karma. And I think in the case of Russia, they're working in the country combined. Double force. And the next news comes from Honduras. Russia Today, RT, in Spanish, has expanded its presence in Honduras. Now the Honduran TV channel shows news and films about the war in Ukraine. Spanish language Russia Today, RT, is broadcast by the state-owned Canal 8 and a large private canal called UniTV. The first one shows daily news from RT in Spanish, and on the weekends it shows several programs and documentaries. In general, on Saturday and Sunday, Canal 8 broadcasts about 12 hours of Spanish language RT. UniTV will also show the channel's news and programs. They will be available on networks of the largest pay TV operators, Tigo and Claro. RT is the most popular international Spanish language news channel, available on Open Button TV in Mexico, Argentina, Venezuela, Costa Rica, and Cuba. It's also available in 18 Latin American countries, and the total audience is about 840 million viewers. The source for this information is RT itself, and I believe it. Folks, beware of Russian propaganda. It's the most effective propaganda network in the world. It's spreading tentacles all over the world. It's very well financed now. It destroys people's brains. Just look what's happening inside Russia. Look what has been happening for the past 2.5 years. Just beware of RT, no matter what language it's in. The next news comes from America, and it's very sad news, at least for me. Boeing does not have enough parts for production of 787 Dreamliner aircraft due to the sanctions against Russia. It has faced difficulties with production of 787 Dreamliner passenger aircraft due to the sanctions that the Western countries have imposed on Russia. The manufacturer lacks heat exchangers that, before the start of the war, were produced at a Russian plant as a part of a joint venture between joint stock company HC Nauka and RTX Collins Aerospace. After the war started, production was moved to the United States and Great Britain. At first, the factories could provide spare parts for all new Boeing aircraft. However, since the company decided to increase production of 787 Dreamliners, the part supplier has stopped coping with the load. The workload has increased. And in this regard, Boeing has already warned investors that this year it will produce and deliver fewer aircraft than it initially planned. The source for this information is the Wall Street Journal. And the next news also comes from Boeing. And this news is very sad, you know. Actually, it doesn't come straight from Boeing. It comes from around Boeing. The second whistleblower who notified the public about defects of Boeing aircraft has died in the United States. Joshua Dean, a former employee of Spirit Aerosystems, a Boeing certified supplier, died after an unexpected and rapidly developed infection. That's what his relatives and representatives told a newspaper called the Seattle Times. And another whistleblower, John Barnett, committed suicide this March, according to the medical examiner's office. Two strange deaths. Coincidence? You know, I don't believe in coincidences like that. I was born and grew up in Russia, and I lived in Putin's Russia for quite some time. I just do not believe into these kinds of coincidences. I am sad to hear that. Russia, with dozens of people flying out of windows unexpectedly or committed suicides unexpectedly, is bad enough. And now it's happening in the USA. And Boeing, the icon of American business, quality, fairness, productivity. What the hell is this world coming to? The next two news are from Turkey. Turkey has halted all import and export transactions with Israel in protest over the war in Gaza. Turkey-Israel trade was worth $7 billion last year. And, annual trade was large. That is according to the official data. Israel was among top 20 destinations for Turkish exports, buying goods and services worth of $5.4 billion. And according to Reuters, top Turkish exports to Israel are steel, vehicles, plastics, electrical devices, and machinery. Meanwhile, Turkey imports from Israel amounted to $1.6 billion. And this source is CNN. Well, Turkey has just shot itself in the foot economically again. Turkey does that once in a while. But guess what? Its President Recep Erdogan has showed everyone, that he means business. Now, what's good for Turkey? To prosper economically, or its president to mean business? Well, we'll let Turkish decide. I'll remind you that the Turkish banks are still declining transactions to and from Russia, which means Russia could be next for cutting off international trade with. And the next news, also Turkish news, and it's big. Turkey has just announced that it will replace Russian pipeline natural gas with American liquefied natural gas. Liquefied natural gas that is delivered not through the pipelines but by large special ships. Ankara has decided to move in and become the latest country to turn away from Russia. It's moving in the direction opposite from Russia to reduce dependency on Russian energy resources. To replace them, Turkey plans to purchase huge volumes from a country that is very unfriendly to Russia, at least what Russia thinks. From the country that Turkey is desperately trying to restore relations with after they deteriorated for several years, and that country is the USA. According to the energy minister, Alparslan Bayraktar, Turkey intends to form a portfolio of new supplies. The reason for that? To reduce dependency on any supplier. Read Russia. To do so, the country is currently negotiating with American ExxonMobil to conclude a long-term contract, possibly decades long, where Turkey will purchase up to 2.5 million tons of liquefied natural gas per year. Such volume, at current prices, is worth around $1.1 billion. Turkey buys almost all of its gas from abroad. In 2022, Russia's share in Turkey's gas import amounted to 40%, while the share of the United States was around 10%, exceeded 10%. According to some estimates, the volume of 2.5 million tons is equal to about 7% of demand of last year. Turkey bought 5 million tons from the United States in the spot market in 2023, and ExxonMobil confirmed that it is in it has this negotiation with Turkey, and it is preliminary, gosh, this, first talks. And it declined to discuss any further details, well, obviously, okay? From what we understand, everyone understands that the negotiations are in place right now. The company's the plans to increase liquefied natural gas supplies sales to 40 million tons by 2030, which is almost twice as much as it sold in 2020. Turkey is seeking to diversify purchases before some of its long-term contracts with Russia expire next year in 2025, and another long-term contract will expire with Iran in 2026. The source of that information is Financial Times. I cannot stress enough how important Turkey for gas exports and transit for Russia. Yeah, it's not just about the gas. Turkey is probably the only big player left in all markets that is somehow has not isolated, snubbed, somehow has not banned Russia. And it's in the process of turning away from Russia. So the gas is huge. Turkey will be the last country importing Russian gas at decent prices. After Ukraine will stop gas transit to Europe next year, there's nobody else. And then Vladimir Putin was trying to use Turkey to build a new gas distribution hub for Europe. As we all know, Nord Stream 1 is blown up north. The Ukrainians will not transit Russian gas after next year. What Russia will do? This is the gas disaster. Well, to say this decision of Turkey to diversify and look towards the USA is a blow to Russia is to say nothing at all. It is a catastrophe. Turkey is distancing itself from Russia and getting closer to the USA. Russia has no one. First, Turkish banks stop making transfers to and from Russia. Then, Turkey closing its ports for Russian oil not too long ago, about a month ago. And now, Turkey is turning to the USA for natural gas supply. No wonder this is how Vladimir Putin looked at his own inauguration on May 7th. Oh, of course, there's nothing to be happy about. I love this picture of him. I keep on looking at it. I love it. I'm gonna print it out and put it somewhere, Nice picture. Again, just check this guy out. Happy camper. Putin the happy camper. Well, with Turkey doing this to Russia, no wonder. The rope is tightening around Russia's economy's neck. And by the way, that gas deal with ExxonMobil is very good for American economy and a blow for the Russian one. Before I jump to the next news, I'd like to remind you that every single day I carefully select 9 news from Russia that I find important and make them available to Inside Russia patrons. So if you want to receive daily updates of 9 important news, like accidents, new laws, arrests, economic news, prices, you name it, everything important, then become the channel's patron at patreon.com. I'll leave a link down below in the description. Go and check it out. And the next news comes from China. China is quite the newsmaker, Today, China has decided to sharply raise the cost of transporting goods to Russia. Tariffs for direct rail shipments from China to Russia and Belarus increased from $500 to $800 per ton depending on the destination, and sea freight rates increased by from $800 to $1,500 per ton. The initiator of this increase was the Chinese side. The main reason given for the price hike is due to the decrease in the number of available shipping containers in China and due to large traffic jams on Russian-Chinese border. What? No shipping containers? Large traffic jams at the border? That's for an excuse? Really? Well, I tell you what the real reason for the price hike is. Antony Blinken, the US Secretary of State, visiting China twice in the last 5 months and showing the Chinese a few pages of the secret document. That's what it was. Inside the few pages, they were and traffic jams at the border, and lack of shipping containers, and many of other wonderful things such as American sanctions against the Chinese banks, personal sanctions against the Chinese leadership, and other actions. No, I don't believe that the US Secretary of State blackmailed the Chinese. No, he just showed them what will happen if all of a sudden there will be plenty of shipping containers in China. If all of a sudden traffic jams at the Russian border would disappear, if all of a sudden payments by Chinese banks would be going through to Russia and back. He just informed them, showed them what would happen then. And I think it's pretty obvious why all of a sudden the transportation shipping rates hike and no containers at the Russian border, and of course large traffic jams. I mean, it's like a really serious big deal, you know? I think it's pretty obvious, at least to me. As for the Russians, not so obvious. Russian parliament explained China's decision to raise the cost of transportation completely different. You see, our pictures are we have different angles. I think that's a visit by someone and consequent actions. The Russian lawmakers think it's the increase due to the increasing growth of Russian-Chinese trade. I quote Artem Kiryanov, the deputy chairman of the Parliament Committee on Economic Policy. As for how much this transportation price increase will complicate our economic cooperation, I think that the tariffs should be treated as an inevitable component of price. And accordingly, the solution to the issue of cost reduction should be sought in other areas of trade, not in fixing or freezing the tariff policy. End quote. Of course, at the end, Russian consumers will pay more. They will pick up the bill. And that will lead to the increase in inflation and decrease in living standard of Russian people. But you know what? Wait a second. This is not the end. This is just the beginning. The next news shows that China is just getting started. Direct deliveries of machinery, equipment, and mechanisms, their parts and accessories from China to Russia decreased sharply in March. According to the General Customs Administration of People's Republic of China, the decrease was 15%. The Chinese are saying, like it is, they are giving honest statistics. They are saying that the trade of important machinery, parts, and components has fallen. And the Russians, what they're saying proves once more that Russian officials live in some kind of Barbie world. I quote Dmitry Vovlach, Deputy Minister of Economic Development of Russia. Nevertheless, despite the sanctions, pressure, and global market fluctuations, economic cooperation between the two states is showing positive results. End quote. So, positive results for who? For Russia, let me tell you something. The positive results out of this decline is for Ukraine. Russia will receive less machinery, equipment, mechanisms, spare parts, which means it will produce less of weapons, less of death. Yes, good deputy minister. Good results indeed for Ukraine. Hallelujah. They're absolutely insane. I'd like to ask you a couple favors now. Please hit the like button. Subscribe so you won't miss anything. Share this in your social media accounts. Reddit, among others, would be absolutely fantastic. And please let me know which news you liked the most or perhaps some you disliked. I need your feedback. I want to improve, and if you like my reporting, and please show it, write about it, and it's very inspirational. I love reading good comments. Thank you. The next news comes from India, and it's scandalous. Scandal. Now you've left me, all the world's gonna know. Hey, scandal. They gonna turn our lives into freak show. That didn't sound good. Well, I tried. Ow. Back to what I do much better than singing, back to the news. The Indian law enforcement agencies have arrested 4 residents of the country suspected of involvement in a human trafficking network. The members of this network tricked young Indians into coming to Russia, where they were forced to participate in the war against Ukraine. 2 suspects, Arun Nurbet and Yasudas Priyan, were arrested on May 7th. They were allegedly directly involved in recruitment men in Indian states of Kerala and Tamil Nadu. The 3rd person arrested, Anthony Michael Elangovan, helped to arrange visas for the recruited and buy air tickets to Russia. The 4th suspect, Nijil Jobiban, worked as a translator inside Russia. They were all arrested by the end of April. The source of this information is CBI, Central Bureau of Investigation. And this is not the first scandal of this kind. First was Cuba, then Nepal, then Serbia, and now India. Now, folks, don't you find it strange that Russian Ministry of Defense and many Russian politicians are reporting gloriously that Russia has enough volunteers who sign up to fight in Ukraine. And Russia does not need any more men. It has plenty, needs no new waves of mobilization, and everything is hunky-dory. At the same time, it has a network of illegal recruitment centers all over the world, and it's recruiting foreigners. And it's doing it so desperately, so rudely, so that the networks are busted by local authorities, and there's a diplomatic scandal every time it happens. Do you smell lying coming out of Russia, perhaps? I do. Scandal. The next news comes from the UK, and it's also very scandalous. No, I'm not going to sing this time. Another diplomatic scandal. London will send away Russian military attaché. According to the Interior Minister James Cleverly, the relevant decision is a reaction to Russia's malicious activities throughout Europe and in the UK. Cleverly added that the British authorities also intend to impose restrictions on the issuance of visa to Russian diplomats. The source of this information is Reuters. Well, somehow, does it surprise me? No. Do Russian diplomats do something illegal? Most likely, yes. Are they even diplomats? No. Someone pretending to be diplomats, and think the situation there is snafu. Now, before I jump to the the most important news, I would like to thank everyone who bought me coffees at buymeacoffee.com. Thank you. Your support shows that you like and value what I do, and I find it incredibly inspiring. Thank you so very much again. And the last and the most important news of the week comes from Russian propaganda, believe it or not. Well, now, I want to show you a video I found on one of the Z Telegram channels. I will show it to you for educational purpose only. I warn you that what you will see now is a fake. Please, read my lips. What you will see now is a fake. Not a deep fake, the cutting edge stuff. No. It's a very low-tech fake made by the Russians. This is how Russian propaganda brainwashes Russians using world's famous people. Check this out.
Россия – это страна, которая знает, как защищать свои национальные интересы и традиционные ценности. Здесь нет места для идиотского возвышения ЛГБТ. Здесь люди гордятся своей историей, культурой и верой. Россия не превращает бедные страны в своих рабов, а наоборот помогает им. Здесь есть настоящий лидер, который не боится сказать правду и действовать во благо своего народа. Его зовут Владимир Путин. Я действительно его уважаю, ведь в отличие от других лидеров, он никогда не лицемерит и говорит правду такой, какая она есть. Он никогда не оскорбляет своих оппонентов, что показывает его силу. Он единственный президент, который может без проблем выступать перед своим народом несколько часов подряд и отвечать на любые неудобные вопросы. Я обязательно с ним встречусь и пожму его руку. Россия – это пример того, как должна быть настоящая, сильная и независимая держава. Такую страну невозможно победить.
Oh my God. I found it a few days ago, browsing through Z People Telegram channels. That's a part of Russian propaganda machine. And my first reaction was shock. Well, you just saw it. I quickly noticed it was fake. The edit was very noticeable. It was roughly done. Elon Musk lips were saying something different from the voiceover. So I asked my daughter Oля to fact check, and I did also. Two of us did fact check, and of course it turned out to be fake. I mean, of course, this things Elon Musk was saying. Well, he wasn't saying that. He was just moving his lips, saying something else, but it was the voiceover. Okay, a Russian guy voicing him over, and you read English translation of the Russian words. Atrocious lies. I mean, Elon Musk just couldn't say these things. I really respect Vladimir Putin because, unlike other leaders, he never hypocritizes and tells the truth as it is. I will definitely meet him and shake his hand. Russia is an example of how real, strong, and independent power should be. Such country is impossible to defeat. Well, you know what? Such country defeats itself. And it is not an example. Well, it rather is an example how a country should not be. Elon Musk knows better. What the fudge? I know better. But you know who doesn't know better? Majority of Russian people. They watch it and they bite the bait. They believe it. I mean, it's unbelievable, no pun intended. The most sarcastic thing is this video is paid for by their money, by their taxes. But they just don't know better. They are so used to believing the government that they believe anything they see. This is just insane. And it's not just Elon Musk propaganda uses. Other people as well. and they're very evil and very effective at what they do. Now, I want to watch it. I want everyone watch it. Let's watch it again.
Россия — это страна, которая знает, как защищать свои национальные интересы и традиционные ценности. Здесь нет места для идиотов.
How was... I mean, what he's saying doesn't make any sense whatsoever, okay? And again, just watch it.
Возвышения ЛГБТ. Здесь люди гордятся своей историей, культурой и верой. Россия не превращает бедные страны в своих рабов, а наоборот помогает им. Здесь есть настоящий лидер, который не боится...
Whatever he says, read the contrary, you know?
...своего народа. Его зовут Владимир Путин. Я действительно его уважаю, ведь в отличие от других лидеров, он никогда не лицемерит и говорит правду такой, какая она есть. Он никогда не оскорбляет своих оппонентов, что показывает его силу. Он единственный президент, который может без проблем выступать перед своим народом несколько часов подряд и отвечать на любые неудобные вопросы. Я обязательно с ним встречусь и пожму его руку. Россия — это пример того, как должна быть настоящая, сильная и независимая держава. Такую страну невозможно победить.
Every single word he says, well, the voiceover says, is a lie. Again, folks, they're very evil and very effective at what they do. Please, you just watched it, understand who you are dealing with. Pure evil and very, very smart. Don't let your guards down like Russian people have. If you do, you will end up, waking up and looking out of the window and you're going to see Russia. So please, be aware. Be on guard. Use common sense and logic. Do not trust anyone. Trust yourself. Trust your head. Definitely do not trust anything that comes out from Russia. Official news outlets such as RT and things like that. So always question. Always use common sense. Always use logic. Try to compare. Try to use different angles. Try to put two and two together. And don't believe anything that doesn't give you four. Folks, and this is it for the world news update today. I suggest now you check out another video I made documenting how I was leaving Putin's Russia in a hurry. I only had 36 hours. I'm gonna put the link right here. Please check it out.